We'll skip all the meme bullshit. Nobody wants to see that crap anyways, right? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mike Files. Got a lot of things going on today. Big stuff. Big things happening. Big shit all over the place. I'm sure everybody's seen the Hunter Biden stuff. Oh, what happened? Looks like my camera just went down. That's great. Lovely. All right, when I start. Okay. We came back. The comeback kids. Anyway, through everything, I just got caught up listening to an RFK Jr. address that he was given. And I tell you what, I'm impressed with that man. I mean, that is where I'm sitting right now. That guy's a voice of reason. I mean, and a very wise individual as well. He's got like a 160 IQ, which that's, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but I mean, I don't know what Joe Biden's IQ is. It's damn sure isn't 160. I would doubt that it's, we won't even go there. We won't even go down that route. But, no, he's talking about a lot of good things. It's the first time I felt positive listening to somebody who's a potential candidate. So that was cool. I'd check him out. I was just watching it. I got caught up in it, I mean, he's just talking about, Indian war and, cleaning things up, getting right, kind of the divisions that his dad and that his uncle had. And, I don't, like I've always said, I don't care, Democrat, Republican, whatever. It doesn't matter what letters next to your name. It's like, who are you? What do you stand for? And, I don't know. He seems like a pretty good dude from what I've seen. He's caught a lot of flack for his stance on the vaccines and all that. And, this and that misinformation. I thought it was funny because I was listening to him talk about, that's nice. Fucking people crashing around outside. Jesus Christ, I tell you what. No, he was talking about a chemical called atrazine, and that was what Alex Jones had talked about years back. That was, when he did his whole thing about they're making the frogs gay. But RFK Jr. was able to approach it a little bit, a more diplomatic way. But he was saying that, in fact, when that chemical is released into a frog population of all males, that it does, they will eventually change gender and be able to lay eggs and everything from that chemical. And that's it's a pesticide, and so it's in our water sources and stuff like that. And so he's like posing the question of, how come we have this rise in transgenderism? I'm not saying one thing or the other, but I mean, it's like you might as well do some, put the science in, do the work, figure it out. I mean, who knows? I mean, we take so much, and that was one of his things too. He's talking about just all the chemicals and stuff that we're polluted with, the heavy metals and in everything, And he went back and was talking about when they decided to, I guess it was 1978, I think was when they quit with the lead-based paint, and they stopped putting like the asbestos in the spray-on popcorn ceilings and stuff like that, and in siding. But apparently there was a study done, and it showed that after the lead was removed from a lot of the different things that we use, be paint and fuel mostly, that there was a decrease in violence and anger in people, apparently, which, who knows? It's interesting to think about, though. I mean, I've had lead poisoning once, and it didn't make me very happy. It made me sick. It sucked. Don't ever mess with that stuff. It's terrible. God. Ugh. It feels like somebody's got a dagger in your stomach, It's just nasty stuff. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So we got the whole thing with Hunter Biden. Apparently he's going to be deposed today. I can't never. He's got four names. Mac, the computer guy, the guy that had the laptop, the laptop from hell, as Miranda Devine's book so aptly titles that, because it has been. I mean, it's been hell with that thing since 2019, I guess, is when the FBI got their hands on it. And their suppression of the information from that has just been ridiculous. Anyways, Hunter Biden tried to go after this guy that owned the computer shop. The guy owns a computer shop, right? You bring your computer in, you sign a paper. It says, look, if you don't come get this thing within 90 days, after I've finished with it and I've called you and let you know that it's ready and made every attempt in goodwill on my part to return your computer to you, if you decide that you're not coming to get it, then it's mine. Well, and that's what happened. And so they tried to sue him. You know, the guy had to leave his town. He left his business. He lost his reputation. He was getting death threats. He had to move. All because of Hunter Biden's laptop. Look at the wake of destruction this guy's left behind him. I mean, everywhere he goes, it's just carnage. Just carnage. And same with his dad. Joe Biden, everywhere he goes is carnage. Look at the fucking shit that he pulled. I mean, you know, his whole God Save the Queen. And, it doesn't stop with him. Now he's termed his whole economic plan Bidenomics. That's worked out well. How's that working out for everybody? It's working out real well. He gets up there and talks about how strong the economy is. The economy is shit. Anybody who's been to the grocery store recently understands that. Anybody who's been to the gas pump understands that. And we're getting hit hard at the gas pump here because we're right next to Jellystone Park. And, you know, that's our bread and butter here is tourism. Well, guess what? This town is dead. It's almost the 4th of July, and this town is dead as dead as dead. I was out last night a little bit later in the evening, not even that late, a little after 9 o'clock. There's nobody out there. I mean, there's places where like you can't typically make a left-hand turn this time of year. And now all of a sudden, it's just there's nobody there. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And there's nobody downtown. This place is dead. I don't know what what it's been like up in Yellowstone Park. But if it's dead here, it's got to be dead up there. And so we've been hit, the gas stations. I mean, and that's typical. Every summer it goes up. We get gouged. The locals get gouged. And fuels, gas prices are always higher here. You can drive 15 miles away to Ralston, and you pay 10 cents a gallon cheaper. But I don't know. Whatever. We're all going to have electric cars soon anyways, right? And it doesn't take any fossil fuels to make electric cars. It just takes lithium and cobalt. And hell, what do we care about that? We get that from the Chinese, and then those poor bastards over there in Africa that get to dive down in those fucking holes that are just absolutely collapsing. And I mean, those guys don't live that long. If you've never seen anything on what it takes to mine cobalt and looked and seen what those people go through to get that shit, what they get paid, what they have to endure, the working environment, boy, I tell you what, you wouldn't complain about your job. That's for damn sure. But so Hunter, anyways, he's getting deposed today because this Mac, the computer guy, is he's firing back at him with it's a $1.5 million civil suit. So Hunter's had quite a couple of weeks here. He made a couple of deals with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware, and there's a lot of dirt in that little state. Hunter Biden and his family, they've got over 150 suspicious activity reports. We've talked about this. Everybody's clued in on what that involves. It's not a good deal. If you get one, you're done with your bank. Okay, so they've had over 150 of them. All right. What else happened? Oh, we had a couple of different WhatsApp messages come out, right, from 2017. One in which he was sitting next to his father, allegedly. If you read the text verbatim, it says, "I'm sitting here with my father. Why has the commitment not gone through?" Basically trying to strong arm him. Trump read it. You heard him. Trump read it, and he's like, "Well, I didn't know he was that tough." But so he enters a plea. He's guilty on 2 counts of failure to file tax payments when due. I mean, okay, great. And I've been saying this is what was going to happen. He was going to get hit with the tax thing. Now it's going to be a nothing burger, and then that he might get hit with some kind of a gun charge, but that he wouldn't do any time. And I was watching a guy that had spent 25 years in the DOJ, and he said him and his team looked through 189,000 different cases involving guns, firearms with the feds. Not a single diversion has ever been offered. I wasn't offered a diversion. I never brandished a firearm, pointed a firearm at anybody, threatened anybody with a firearm, used a firearm. Still got caught up with a firearm charge. And they weren't letting it go. Even the assistant USA said she knew. She said, you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's, like I've said, that's when I asked, okay, probation then? Oh, no. We have to get our gun convictions. So how's he get away with this? You know that, I mean, I'm not trying to play these whataboutisms, right? I mean, I don't care. I did my time. I got through it, whatever, you know. I mean, it sucked. But you know what? It you know, there's good things, there's good things that come from everything, you know. And, you know, I had a lot of stuff I had to take accountability for. And I guess that gave me the time to do so. And you know, hey, it is what it is. I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm a little bit salty about it, especially when I see somebody like this cat that's had everything, you know, I mean, look at all the millions of dollars this guy's burned through and the crimes he's committed. I mean, this dude, I mean, what I have on my rap sheet is never going to go away. And I even wrote an email to the, you know, to the White House and it'll never get through anybody. I sent one to the DOJ. My only remedy is a presidential pardon. And I'll never get that. Why not? I've done my time. I repaid my debt to society, I think, and then some. You know, I mean, you know, my only crime, I guess, was just trying to get out of the situation. Trying to get out of there. You know, get behind the wheel, whereas I don't know. I mean, the way I look at it is I made the decision to put my trust in somebody that I shouldn't have, and that was my bad decision. And, you know, you make bad decisions, you know, if you don't pay attention to who you're surrounding yourself with and who you trust, you can find yourself in a bad place. And, you know, these are lessons that we learn, you know. It's a lot of times you don't see it, you know, you don't see it happening. You know, so anyway, so Hunter, you know, he got his little bullshit tax charges. You know, everybody's seen the photos of him prancing around. You know, he's always naked. The guy photographed or videotaped everything that he did. I mean, it was like, what is he doing? He's like making a crime documentary or what? You know, he's naked. He's packing the pistol. He's got his finger on the trigger. You know, his deceased brother's widow, who he's having an affair with or whatever, you know, she came down there and she took the firearm and throws it in the dumpster. They can't find the gun. It's gone. So the Secret Service shows up, allegedly. Joe Biden's out of office. Now there's audio that I've heard of Hunter yelling at Hallie about how she's just completely screwed him and blah, blah, blah. And now he's going to have to call his dad to fix this and all that. And that meant that the Secret Service showed up. And, like, you know, apparently they found the firearm. And, you know, they tried to go get the paperwork on the gun from the gun dealer. And he said no. So who sent the Secret Service? Joe didn't have. I mean, as a president, you get Secret Service for the rest of your days, right? Like once you're out of office, like Obama, he's got Secret Service. Trump has Secret Service. George Bush, Secret Service. Bill Clinton still even has that. That's the detail that is assigned to you for the rest of your life. As a vice president, you don't get that. Mike Pence doesn't get that. Joe Biden didn't have that. Now, he will after he gets done with this term. And I don't foresee him. I will lose all hope in humanity if this man gets reelected. I'm telling you right now. I mean, I would if I was a voter, I'd be throwing my hat in with RFK Jr. And I think you guys should check him out. Listen to what he has to say. He's kind of at first he had some kind of, I don't want to get into it, but he's got something going on with his voice. And I don't know if it was an injury or a virus, an illness, something like that, but his voice it's it's different. But it's actually, after you listen to him for a while, I've watched him on, he was on Bill Maher not too long ago. And that was a great interview. Not on Bill Maher's part, but it was great to watch the way that that RFK Jr. just, Bill Maher was like, he treats people like, he has people on his show and then he acts like he's the one being interviewed, right? He interrupts. He interjects his opinion. He'll ask a question and then, the guest decides to answer him. This camera's driving me nuts. I don't know why it's doing this today. But then he'll just interrupt. He'll ask a question and he'll interrupt and then he interjects with his opinion, like his opinion, man. It's like, dude, you're not running for president. Like, you're not Bobby Kennedy's kid, He's in this studio that's got like bare plywood floors. There's like a framed photo that's like just leaning up against the wall. He's got these chairs that look like they came from some cat lady. I don't know. I mean, Bill Maher's had his whatever. The guy's had a great career, but he's just a little bit too pompous in a situation like that. It's like people want to hear what Kennedy had to say. I did. And it got really annoying listening to Maher kept interrupting him. But it was a good, it was a good way to actually see the poise that this man had. He was able to get through the interview with him. A lot of people I don't think would have probably been so gracious. I don't know if I would have been. I mean, it's like, okay, you invited me on your show. Are you asking me questions or are you going to ask me questions and I got to sit here and listen to whatever you have to say? I mean, if that's going to be the case, then why doesn't Maher just go on by himself like I do, and just go give out a diatribe? Anyway, I think out of all this whole thing, that might be the whole, RFK Jr. might be the icing on the cake. That might be the, I think he might be exactly what this country needs. I mean, he's talking about, the economic mess that we're in, and just, the violence that's going, I mean, and that's what bothers me, the ongoing wars. And there's wars on the street. God, this stupid thing. I might switch cameras here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on with mine. It just keeps cutting in, cutting out. And I know that's annoying and obnoxious, and I apologize for that. Let's see if we can get the other one going here. It's just me, so it's not like I got anybody else to worry about. Sorry, I always put tape on every camera because I know that they're, if I'm not using it, I know that somebody's looking at me. Let's see if this one will work. I don't even know if I got it pulled up on here. Probably have to add it. Yeah, this is what you guys want to listen to, right? Me sit here bumbling around. Anyhow, let's see if we can get this to come up. I'm such a technological genius. And let's see, we're going to add a source. How about that? And we'll just call it video capture device. Now you're all learning a little something about, what it takes to do this. That's a pain in the ass. If you don't think so, try doing a live stream yourself. Just give it a whirl because it is not fun. All right, let's see. There we go. All right, we have a new camera. And we just need to let's get this thing. All right, there we go. How about that? It's not as good, but see, stupid thing. Yeah, off on. Hang on, I'm just going to shut that thing off. Oh. All right. There we go. That's enough of that. All right. Now we can continue. Let's see if we can get this other stuff back up here. Don't you love how prepared I am? No, seriously though, I don't know what's up with those Canon cameras that drive me nuts. I wish I hadn't got the other one stolen. But, such is life. Let's see. Nope, that's not going to play. Doesn't want to play nice. Let's see if we can move that up. What is that noise going on? I would think that when I put the sign up on the door that somebody would be quiet out there, but apparently that's too much to ask. Hopefully you guys can't hear that coming through. I'm going to go fucking nuts when I get off of here. Sitting here trying to do this and people are so rude. I don't know what that is. Oh, well, hopefully it's not coming through. Anyhow, after the camera and then the rude people outside who won't shut up. So anyhow, they go and we'll go back to the Hunter thing. They get Hunter's gun, right? So he's got brandishing the gun. He lied on the background check to get it. So right there, that's a 5-year bit. And they offer him a diversion, saying that if he doesn't test positive for drugs in the next 2 years, that's basically off his record. So he gets to keep his gun and his gun rights, and no big deal. And if that guy, what are they going to do if that dude tests positive? Who's going to be the person that's going to go and say, hey, he pissed hot? It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to do that. Everybody's so terrified. And that's another thing that's driving me nuts is watching these Republicans. They've got all this dirt on him. They've got all this so-called this and that and the other thing. I mean, Comer comes out today, not Comey, Comer. He comes out today and says that the take looks like it's closer to $40 million now with the paperwork he has. Nothing's happened. Can you imagine if there was actual proof that Trump had sent his kid parading around the country on your dime? Okay, keep that in mind. These are places that Hunter flew with Joe on Air Force Two. I think that Joe Biden should have to repay everybody, and we should all get a stimulus check for the amount of money that's gone into his travel. Everything. I think everything that he's been paid, it ought to be reimbursed to the American people or given to the fucking homeless. Take it all. It's all ill-gotten. Confiscate it all. I mean, if these bastards, have peddled influence in the amount of 40 million plus, this isn't even the beginning. I mean, this is the beginning of it. Who knows what it's going to come out to be? I mean, this guy's got 4 homes. He was supposedly the most broke ass son of a bitch in Congress or in the Senate. And all of a sudden he's just got all this money and nobody wants to do anything about it. Nobody wants to say anything. He gets up there, he bumbles and fumbles around, says just completely obnoxious, ridiculous shit. Gets offended when they're asking him. It's like his son put out that text message saying that I'm sitting here waiting for a phone call. And this is him talking to the Chinese. I'm waiting for a phone call with my father and with everyone that he knows. And whatever he said, my capacity for holding a grudge or whatever, however he phrased it, you will regret. He said, you will regret not listening to my directions or something to that effect. I don't have it in front of me, but it was absolutely insane. And then there was another one that came out where he was upset because they tried to change it from 10 million to 5 million. And he was like, this is not what we agreed on. I could go make 5 million a year at any law firm in this country. We do what we do the best because we're the Bidens. Well, what do you do that's the best? They don't have a business. They've got all these LLCs set up to funnel money, but they don't have a business other than selling us out. And Joe Biden, they caught him on a hot mic the other day, and I don't know where he was at. It was some foreign country, and he's sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, I've sold all kinds of state secrets." Nothing. The mainstream media has said nothing. And the Republicans, they get up and they impeach him. Lauren Boebert impeaches him about the border. What about bribery and treason? That's a way bigger deal. Not that the border's not a big deal, but bribery and treason at the highest office in the land, that is a big deal. That's tarred and feathered and get the fuck out of here deal. And nobody's going to do anything about it. So what's the remedy, folks? We just sit around and we just let this go on. We just sit here and we start, paying $8 for a gallon of milk and $12 for a pound of hamburger. And it just keeps going up and your wages stay the same. And he talks about all this Bidenomics and how many jobs he's created. He hasn't created any jobs. Just because people got to go back to work, that's not creating something. When you let somebody go back to doing what they were doing previously, that's not creation. I'm sorry. These are, you want to argue semantics, let's argue semantics. This is not the definition of creation. And they've come out with these numbers and everything, and they've got Trump's job, he's down below the zero line. Okay. Anybody remember how things were before COVID hit? Everything was pretty much booming. Life was good. Inflation was down. Inflation at one point was down to 0%, but they had to keep it at 1% just to, and they had to nudge up, oil prices too. They'd gotten so low that they had to bump it a little bit. But I was very happy with a 38 gallon tank paying $75 to fill it up with diesel. Like I said the other, now it's ridiculous. It's like, at one point I think I spent $230 to fill that thing up. It's crazy. Premium is like, if you want to get this shit that doesn't have that bullshit ethanol in it, and people, that ethanol will fuck your car up. Trust me. You think that's a good thing? Guess what? Ethanol is worse on the environment than just, not having it in there. For one thing, it creates condensation, and if you drive an old vehicle, something that's got a carburetor, I know nobody even knows what that is anymore, but it'll screw those up. Like, the old Ford that I got out there. That's all I run in that. I don't put in, I don't put the 87 or whatever in there. So, 91, no ethanol. A lot of people, you can't get the no ethanol if you're living in the city. You probably can't even get diesel fuel. I know that I've been places, over the last number of years where you go out on the West Coast and you look at a gas station. It's like, well, where's the diesel pump? You'll see like one, out of 5 or 6 gas stations, and it's backed up with people, You got to drive that little Prius around or whatever, your Tesla. Great. Teslas are, I rented one for a weekend. It was cool. It was fast. It was very fast. It was probably the fastest car I've ever driven. I didn't have any idea. I'd driven a Prius before. I thought, okay, that's what this is going to be. Got on the I-5, stopped on it. Head back in the seat. It's like, holy shit. Got up to my buddy Chris's place. Chris is a straight diesel dude. He's all about the, Duramax diesel. He's looking at me like, what the hell is that? I said, here, man, jump in that thing. Let's go for a drive. I said, stop on it. He goes, holy shit. So they are fast. But, and apparently Elon they've come out with a different technology that's going to eliminate the lithium. I don't know. Whatever. I'm all for a different alternative, but, the fact of the matter is that this is where we're at right now. We don't have the alternative. Until you have the alternative, what are you going to, you can't just go and just take what everybody has and take it away from them. Especially when you're like fucking Joe Biden, that hypocritical old son of a bitch, and you got a fucking Corvette sitting in your goddamn garage with fucking stolen fucking classified documents from the 70s when you stole them, motherfucker. And then the shit that he took from being vice president. Does anybody know anything about the difference between a president taking documents and a fucking vice president or a senator stealing documents? Okay, that's where it's a theft. That's stealing. That's what falls under the goddamn Espionage Act, not what Trump did. Trump had 102 documents. Biden had 1,800 or something just in Chinatown. And that Penn Biden think tank, that's the most oxymoronic thing ever. This guy doesn't think. He can't even speak without having a fucking teleprompter. There's no thought to this guy. He's a fucking moron. He's a waterhead. Look at the guy. He walks around like Herman Munster, babbles and mutters and stammers around, says ridiculous shit. People ask him a question that pisses him off and he screams at him. They were asking him the other night, like, hey, were you in that room where this text message came from? He's talking about how proud he is of his son. Oh, just when he gets indicted, and it just makes me proud. Huh? What in the world has that kid done? It makes me wonder about that whole family and that dude in particular. I think he's a diabolical old piece of shit that I would hesitate to think what's going on behind the scenes. I think that he's set that Hunter up the whole time. I think that this is a guy that plagiarizes everything, right? Everything he's ever done, he's plagiarized, he's stolen, he's always looked for some kind of an advantage. Look what happened with Tara Reid. She ended up leaving the country. I think she moved to Russia. When she came out with that shit that Biden had done to her, she was just dismissed. Here's Joe Biden, the guy that says towards what's-her-face that accused Kavanaugh, you must believe all women. And then it's like, well, what about the women that come out and say shit about you? What about your daughter's diary that talks about you taking a shower with her when she's like 11, 12 years old? Nothing. The two people that fucking tried to sell that diary, they're in prison right now for stolen goods when that diary was like left in a fucking halfway house or some shit, or a sober living house in Florida. And these two yo-yos decided they were going to take it and try and peddle it to Project Veritas, which Project Veritas are like, no, we don't want anything to do with it. And they got busted. And I mean, they ran them through court quick. They ran them through court real quick. It's different. It's a different justice system for different people. I'm telling you, it's not just the blind, you see the blind lady of justice with the scales in front of her with the blindfold on. That's not what it is. It's not even close. Look at what they're doing to Trump right now. Look at what they've done look what they did to Manafort. Look, I mean, he didn't do anything. I mean, just look at what they've done and look at who they're targeting. And look at Hillary. Look at what she got away with. I mean, fucking Jim Comey goes, well, yeah, the way he phrased that whole thing. Well, there was certainly some mishandling that went on. Oh, yeah, bleach bit and then taking hammers to all your devices. That's mishandling. 33,000 emails of classified information and you were Secretary of State. I'm sorry, that doesn't fall under executive privilege because executive privilege is only for the president, like Hillary's husband, Bill, who had his sock drawer full of tapes and other shit, and they tried to come after him for that. And in court, they said, it's a nothing burger. He's the president. He can do whatever he wants with that shit. He can put it in his sock drawer. That's after they'd stolen everything out of the White House when they left. They stole the damn toilet seats. I mean, they stole the furniture. They stole the artwork. They stole everything. They stole all the computers. They stole every fucking thing. And then said when they left office, they were broke. Yeah, okay, what about yeah. I mean, that family, we're not even going to get into them. I'm just glad that RFK Jr. is in there because I think that pretty much, that kind of puts a roadblock up and keeps Hillary out of there. That was my concern, is that we were going to have to listen to her again. I was just like, oh God, here we go. She's going to end up jumping back in there. So she can break the glass ceiling. You want to break the glass ceiling? Why didn't you vote for Tulsi Gabbard? Why don't you put Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert on a ticket? That'd be awesome. Those two, they would, holy shit, that'd be fucking hilarious. I mean, that's it's pretty crazy when it takes two females to have the balls to get up and speak like these men should be speaking. Matt Gaetz, he's got some, he'll say it how it is. Jim Jordan does, Thomas Massey does in a more demure way. I mean, he speaks the truth, but he doesn't get quite as animated as they do. But you got your Chip Roys and they've got a handful of decent people on that side of the fence. As far as the other side of the fence goes, yeah, I don't know. It's weird, and then you've got them coming after Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi worked for Rolling Stone for years. Yeah, that seriously, that right-wing outfit. He gets the Twitter files. He goes and testifies in front of Congress. Mind you, these are emails that were forwarded to him that had come from Twitter, from the new owner. He's like, here, check this out. So it's not like he's making this stuff up, right? So he goes up and testifies, and the Democrats, instead of engaging with him and finding out what the material was all about and what was going on, they just slung mud at him, like Plaskett. You've heard me talk about her, and what came out? Guess what? Guess who she solicited for money in 2018? July of 2018. Okay, she's the delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands, right? Who was down there? Jeffrey Epstein. She solicited him for campaign donations and asked that anybody on his team or, that he had any influence with, that she could use their help. She received $34,000. So she's up there calling because there was an acronym in something that, it could have just been a typo. It's just a stupid, everything in the government's got an acronym. It was off a little bit, and she threatens Matt Taibbi with prison. Yet she's taken money in 2018, in July of 2018, okay? When did Epstein get arrested? He got arrested in July of 2019. In 18, most of the people had already distanced themselves from him, the Bill Gateses and these other people that he had on that Lolita Express. Plaskett solicits campaign funds from him. Then she says, "Oh, well, she gave it. How do you don't return money to a dead man?" She said she returned through charities. Where's the receipts? I want to see the receipts, Miss Plaskett. She is about the most arrogant, rude, just obnoxious person out there, and she doesn't even have a vote. I don't understand how she's the ranking member every time they have. It's like, get her out of there. If you don't have a vote, just beat it. Especially if you're rude. Nobody else. Nobody else acts like that. Her and that fucking, that Nadler, Mr. Front Butt, and then that fucking Dan Goldman. They treated Taibbi and Stosselberg like absolute shit. These are two journalists. What happened to the America where the First Amendment was a thing? It's not anymore, unless you just say what what the Democrats want you to say. But if you have a voice that's independent and you actually use critical thought processes and think about things, then no, you need to shut up. You've triggered me, and now you're on blast. It's nonsense. These people are nonsense. So I was very encouraged to see RFK Jr. and listen to him today, and I've been listening to him more and more. And I can't vote anyways, but if I did, I wouldn't. But if I could and did, then I think that would be where I'd be going. It's time to get rid of the megalomaniacs. We don't need that. We don't really need anybody to tell you the truth. We don't need any of these assholes. They just fuck shit up. What have they done that's been good for anybody? And don't say stimulus checks or welfare or any of that shit, because that doesn't do anybody any favors. And you wouldn't need that shit if they didn't fuck it up, so you had to have it. You know what I mean? So that's not, government handouts are not doing anybody any good. It's something that, that shouldn't even be what they're there to do. The whole thing was designed for there to be, minimal government. Even Jefferson said in order for the system to work, it needs to be overthrown about every 20 years. Well, we're at 247, and it is a shit show. This country is a shit show. And I made the mistake again of calling it a country. It's a corporation. The corporation is a shit show. And we're all part of it. So what are we going to do? What do? We just sit there and just keep going to the voter booth? Just keep going to the polls? Just keep checking your boxes, R's and D's, and keep fighting with each other? My proposition is this, and I know it'll never happen because it's just a theoretical, and no one will, no one's going to say anything, or no one would even do anything. But I would say on election day, let's just have it, National Cookout Day. National Cookout Day. I'm going to keep promoting this. I would love that. There'll be one at my house. on election day. Anybody want to come over? Come over. We'll, we'll throw some crickets on the trigger, because that's what you're going to be eating if you keep voting for these idiots. I mean, that's what they want you eating is crickets and, roots and grass and berries and shit like that. In the meantime, these assholes get up and they, and this just cracks me up too with these Democrats. They all want to be involved in this war in Ukraine. Keep sending weapons over there. Keep sending weapons. Keep sending weapons. Take away the Second Amendment. They have no problem whatsoever killing brown people over on the other side of the water. No big deal. We have oil interests there, we got to do that. I mean, I think Ukraine has got so much shit on Biden's head that he's got to just demur to whatever Zelensky says, because he's worried he's going to get, they're going to pull his covers. And I think China's the same way. He came out and called Xi Jinping, he called him a dictator the other day when Blinken, that mushy, Jesus Christ, that guy. How pathetic is that dude? He gets up there and, he looks like he's about to just shit his pants, He's kind of, he reminds me of Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live, Good enough, smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. I don't know. And they're raising taxes, and you've got the 87,000 armed IRS agents. Anybody watch any of the footage of them training those idiots with firearms? That's scary. They're going to shoot somebody. They're going to shoot themselves, or they're going to shoot an innocent person. These people don't need guns. These are fucking accountants. Let's talk about taxes a little bit. They get up there and they everybody tells you from that time, support the trip. Freedom isn't free. Derpy dare. Every single thing that you do in your life is taxed. Every step you take is taxed. Every breath. You remember that movie that came out sometime back and it had Justin Timberchurch or whatever his name is in it? It's something about, they had like some kind of a chip or whatever, where it was like a social credit thing where you would get more time or less time, but that was your commodity, right? And that concept is actually pretty good. So everything that you would do, like your watch or I can't remember if it was a watch that they had locked on you, and it would tell you when you're going to die, and you could do certain things to up your time, right? But if you did things that, it's a social credit thing like they have in China, but they got cameras on everything, and they're trying to do that here. They want to implement a digital currency that they can turn off or on based on what you're doing. So if you're going to, sorry, I keep putting my hands in front of the wrong camera here because I think I'm looking at the other one. My bad. See, it's amateur day. Sitting here, you guys want to look at my hands and just get wound up. But anyway, this digital currency that they want to implement, they'll be able to turn it off and on. So based on social media posts or, your yard sign, how you voted. Oh, you voted for Trump back in the day? Guess what? You can't use your money. They'll be able to turn it off, turn it on. This has already been voted through, just like the whole thing with the cars that are coming out in 26. They're all going to have an onboard, inside interior camera so they can look at anybody that's riding with you and you. And it's going to be monitoring for, your BAC. I don't know how it's going to do that, whether it's going to be ambient or what. And they stick a goddamn tube up your ass or whatever when you get in the thing. And then it's got an automatic shut off on it. So you can just be driving along, boom, you're shut down. So if you really want to do something to save people, you already see video of people in LA, right? They're driving down the road in those Teslas, and they just put where they're going. They fall asleep. All they got to do, they've just, they put like a tennis ball or an orange. I don't think they can do it anymore. I think that Tesla has gotten rid of that. But they were they were able to just go. I want to see if I can pull up I got RFK Jr. up there. See, I don't know. I'm liking this guy. He's got some good things to say. While I'm talking about it, might as well just pull him up for a second. Monitor. What's that word? Monitor. And then I got to move it because I got that other camera up. Is it going to come up? No. Come on. God, I love technology. There we go. There he is. He's just talking about how we've got an obligation to, let's ignore this. All right. Let's get us some volume. You should go back and listen to this if you have a chance, if you're interested. He's been all over the place. So, he came out and he's pulling at 20%.
The war in Ukraine could have been avoided, even as late we now know, as spring of 2022, when U.S. officials sent Boris Yeltsin to Kiev to scuttle peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, a peace agreement they had already signed. And not only that, Russia had already begun removing its troops from the Kiev area. We now know this. This war was not inevitable. It was the creation of a relentless mentality of war and domination. At the height of the Cold War, JFK was willing to see beyond the prevailing stereotypes of Russia and its leader, Khrushchev, as the epitome of evil. The two men at that time exchanged 26 highly personal and private emails among each other. We had a KGB and GRU spy who used to come to my home when I was a little boy, and we knew he was a spy, and this was the time that the James Bond films were all coming out, and we considered it, very sort of romantic and dangerous to have a real Russian spy in our house.
That's crazy.
He's a very charming guy who's kind of short and extremely strong, and he would do rope climbing contests with my father and push-up contests, and he could do.
Listen to the history of this guy. This dude has got just to listen to the stories that he tells about. I'll cut it off there because I know everybody doesn't want to watch this, but if in fact you are interested in a viable candidate, I'd say it's this guy. He's well-spoken. He's obviously got a crazy, past. Think about being, Bobby Kennedy's son, being JFK's nephew. The things he's seen, the man's intelligent. He's beyond intelligent. And he doesn't get rattled. I've not seen him. I've seen him get, everybody has that. You got to have that fire, but it's not like anger. Just watching the way that he handled Bill Maher on his show, I was impressed with that. I wasn't impressed with Bill Maher, but then again, that's the way it goes. But anyway, this is your guy, I'd say. Obviously, you got to make your own decisions. It's not up to me. One way or another. But it's going to take somebody like him, and he's got the background. He knows all the players. He's not going to be like Trump, where Trump went in there and he took a lot of bad advice. He appointed a lot of people that should have, they're the same old players. They go in and go out with every administration, your Mnuchins and, your dingbats like, your Timothy Geithners and shit like that. Oh yeah, he's a good guy, hire him. Trump didn't know any better. This guy does know. He's been around this shit his whole life. So he knows what's what and who's who and, we're not going to be free until we get rid of, you can sit there and you can sing the flag song all you want. You can put your hand over your heart and take your hat off and everything else and sing that stupid song. And yeah, it's a stupid song. Look up the background of it. Look up the other stanzas. I've encouraged everybody to do this over and over again. Nobody seems to do that. Nobody seems to give a shit, which is fine. Just keep on not giving a shit. You'll get what you get. It's going to come down on all of us anyways. So, it'd be better off. At least if everybody would maybe take a break from whatever the stupid shit is they're watching on TV at night and maybe do a little homework. Maybe look into the, some of these things that I'm talking about here. It might change your mind about what you think you are and what you think this place where you live happens to be. You're not free. You're anything but. You're not free. If you were free, then would they lock you in a cage for not paying your taxes? If taxes were such a great thing, wouldn't it be voluntary? No, they take it out of your check before you even get it. And if you do anything to try and get around that, then guess what? Here's your cage. And what do? They take your money and they go kill people with it. And then they fucking lecture you about the Second Amendment while we're sending bombs and missiles and tanks and shit all over the fucking world. And we've got troops everywhere too. You know, why did Jill Biden get sent over to fucking see the troops in what are we doing with troops in fucking Romania? Why? Because it's right there on the Black Sea where we blew up Nord Stream 1 and 2. Yeah. Oh, the Russians did it. Yeah, the Russians blew up their own fucking pipelines. Their only source, their biggest source of income. They just blew it up. Well, Putin's crazy. Okay, maybe he is, but would you do that? You got sanctions on you and you got a pipeline running from one place to another and that's your income. That's what you're, I mean, we put all the sanctions on them in the Russian ruble. It was the top performing currency on the planet there for a while. That and the Brazilian real, because guess what? They're off the petrodollar. And that's what's going to end up happening is, the petrodollar, once that thing takes a shit, I mean, it already pretty much has. It's tanked. Your money's not worth anything. Your shitty paper, it's not worth anything. I mean, we should just go back to barter and trade. I do this for you. You do that for me. You offer this service. I offer this, whatever, I mean, we've got the resources. And you can't take your fucking money with you. You're only here for a short time. All the wealth and shit that you can accrue and acquire, it's not going to do you any good. You don't need all that shit anyways. It just gives people misery. The more wealthy people are, the more miserable they are. They hate each other. If you don't believe me, go out and if you know wealthy people, go out and take a second and these people, they don't have friends. They don't trust anybody because they're so concerned that anybody that they get close to, that they're just there to take their money or try and swindle them, right? They're the worst people to do business with. I mean, I would much, much rather go and do an estimate for somebody that lives in a modular home, in the middle of that obviously they don't have a ton of money. But I tell you what, they're happy. And, I go out there and give them an estimate and try and cut everything I can off it and think, oh gosh, these people aren't going to be able to afford this. But I still have to make, what I got to make on. I can't do work for free. I'll submit the estimate to them. And I mean, they'll call me like as soon as they read the email. Well, we've got a check for you for half of it. When can you start? The people with millions of dollars, you chase them around for over a month trying to get paid. They don't want to, then you're gouging us. You think I have money? It's like, listen, dude, I'm charging you any more than I charge somebody down in the trailer park, They all think that somebody's trying to get over on them. That's what money does for you. Everybody wants it, but, I mean, it's really, I don't see it as being everything that's, I mean, you need it, but wouldn't it be nice not to need it? Wouldn't it be nice not to be sitting in a fucking cubicle? I mean, what gets closer to a jail cell than a goddamn cubicle in a fucking office building? Can you imagine going to work in some multi-storied office building where it's just you get lost. Miles and miles of cubes and shirts and ties and, oh God, just horrible people, shallow people. I mean, that's why I think Office Space is one of the best movies ever. I love that when he like undoes all the, the screws and shit on the cubicle and just tips it over. He's in there cleaning a fish one day, I mean, that's what it takes. I mean, here's my thing. I would just love to see this happen. To plan a Monday and guess what? Nobody goes to work. Everybody, either that or everybody takes off to go to work and then gets off at the next exit, flips around and goes home and just stop. That would change things. Can you imagine if the entire country just said for a day, Can you imagine how screwed up things would get in one day? No flights, no truckers, no trains, no longshoremen, no nothing coming off the ships, no gas stations open, no nothing. Shut it all down for one day, 24 hours, shut down, nothing. Guess what? The people would take the power back at that point because guess what? We're the ones that are in, we're 332 million people. And we're letting 1,500 of these asswipes ruin our lives. And every single time They pass another bill. Every single time they get up on that podium and start running their mouths, they fuck us up even more. They don't do you any good. When have they have not done you any good. Everybody I talk to, who's got something good to say about the government? Sound off. I know nobody's listening anyways, but you could sound off and say something, or at least think about it. I mean, when did they ever do anything good for you? They just tax you on everything. Your fuel. I mean, even though the fuel prices are through the roof, guess what? You still got the fuel tax on there. Every time you go to the store, everything you buy. And you get so used to it that you don't even understand that you're losing a nickel on every buck if you live here in Wyoming. If you live in one of these other states, who knows? I don't even know what it is in California. Or I know Washington was 8.9% when I lived there. I think California is up 10, something like that. I don't know. I'd have to look. And then you have state income tax. And you got your federal income tax. And then you got, you have to pay for a driver's license. Then you got to pay your taxes on your vehicles. You got to pay a tax on this, and tax on that, tax this, tax that. They just take everything. And then you got to go to the grovel into the bank to get a loan, to borrow your own money. Well, these bankers sit there and get fat. Fuck them. They think that, and that's the thing. They just know that everybody's so stupid that they don't understand how it works. Do yourself a favor and Google fractional reserve banking system. Look that shit up. Take a look at it. See what you think about that shit. Or Google is money real. You'll have some interesting things come up on there. All I'm saying is it's not what you think it is. What you all think it is not what it is. The world we grew up in, if you're my age, with during the Cold War, and the Pledge of Allegiance was said with vigor every morning, and we took our Iowa Basics test when we got good sleep and ate brain food because we had to test better than the Russians. That was the whole thing they told us. I was like in second, third, fourth grade. The Iowa Basics were going to be, we had to score on those because we needed to show the world that we were the smartest kids around. Yeah, how's that turned out? Look at we haven't even taught these younger kids that they don't even know how to read. They can't write. I mean, it's I keep telling my kids, like, what's going to happen when the grid goes down? I mean, it's going to happen. They're not doing anything. There's 3 grids in this entire country. All it takes is, the sun could hurtle. We've missed a couple just barely from the sun. That fireball out there that we're flying around on this little tiny rock. We're like a little stone. We're just flying around like little ants. So self-important, though. So self-important. So self-important that we need to make our money and leave our brothers and sisters out there in the streets homeless. So self-important that we got kiosks that administer free crack pipes. So self-important that you've got, people with little to no food in their home. Our kids are shooting each other. And we want a grandstand about, the Second Amendment. It's not that. There's been firearms in this country forever. We had guns in my high school. No one ever got shot. No one ever got threatened to get shot. So it's not that. And, people want to kill somebody, they're going to figure out a way to do it. Guns or otherwise, it doesn't matter. Look at Darrell Brooks. How many times have these people, weaponized a vehicle? Are you going to take cars away? And then it's just ridiculous. These people are absolutely asinine. And it's irritating. It's funny. I guess it's the human condition. It's a human condition, I guess, that we feel like we need to have these people there to lead us because we don't know how to do it ourselves. But here's the thing, folks. You do know how to do it yourself. You've been doing it yourself for years. The government has not helped you. They've taken from you. So you need to get that in your head that guess what? You've done it. It hasn't been them. You have. Get that in your mind. It doesn't take all these people that you put all this bullshit behind. These celebrities that get up there and grandstand, these are professional liars. Think about, what is an actor? It's a professional liar. That's it. These are people that go up and act like they're somebody they're not. And yet when they get up there and they talk about climate change and this and that, well, they're flying around the country on their fucking private jet or, polluting the ocean with their fucking big, huge fucking yacht that's got, who knows what kind of diesel engines those things have in them, just pumping out black smoke. Speaking of big ships, how about the Titanic thing? That's what we won't even get into that. Messy deal. Now they're saying they found human remains today. I don't know. Makes you wonder where that sub was when it lost pressure and it basically imploded. Because if it was all the way down on the bottom and did that, I don't think there'd be much left of it. It'd be done. That's when you talk atmospheres. If you're on like sea level, right? You're at one atmosphere. If they were on the bottom of that was what, 13,500 feet? If I'm not mistaken. How many atmospheres does that put? It's a lot. It's like 40 some or something. I mean, that. And then you're talking about a human body. What, the pressure down there is what? It's ridiculous. Like 6,000 pounds per square inch or something like that. You do the math on it. I'm not a mathematician, but I mean, it comes up to being pretty much pulverized into nothing, especially that deep. They're not finding remains. If they're saying they're finding remains, then that sub didn't go down very deep before it, they said it was an hour and 40 minutes it lost contact. There's something weird going on there too. There's always something weird. There's always something crazy. It was such a crisis and everything, and now you're just kind of not really hearing much about it anymore. And I'm sorry, I keep putting my hands in front of the goddamn thing. No one's watching anyways, all right? Anyway, I'm going to see if I can get out there and go tool around in the dirt. Do something. Got to get out of the house. I don't know how it's been for y'all, but man, up here in Wyoming, we're usually about 90, 95 degrees this time of year. We just have barely hit the 80s. It's raining every day. I can't even go out on my dirt bike. It's just such a mucky, muddy mess out there. But I'm going to go give it a try. I went out there the other day. The road was washed completely out. Just like, oh, this is nice. Came back a muddy mess. But go get messy again. Anyways, that's enough of my yammering for one day. I hope you all are well. From 52 miles east of Jellystone Park in Coyote, Wyoming. Be good or be good at it. In all things, be kind and do no harm. And hopefully catch you sooner than later. All right. Peace. Maybe. Oh boy. There you go. Have some memes.